Good morning, ladies. How's it going?
Good morning. Good. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely. So I already kind of gave a little intro as to what you guys are and do, but I think it probably will come best from you each individually. So maybe a short little background on where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? And then what you guys are doing together.
Sure. So my name is Janae Saltzman. I'm a wedding planner here in Minneapolis. I own a company called Blush and Whim, wedding planning and event design. So I've been working with brides since 2013, planning weddings of all different shapes and sizes. I focus on event design primarily is kind of what Blush and Whim is known for, but we also offer month of and full service and all of those things. And I met Stephanie when she moved to Minneapolis from Boston this past summer, and we created Wed by Design together. So I'll let Steph introduce herself.
Yeah.
And we can talk more about that.
I am Steph Weers, and I've been in the wedding industry for several years, but just on a different side than Janae. So I've been working in editorial. I kind of got my start doing freelance writing for different bridal magazines, and then got a job at Style Me Pretty. I started there as just an admin assistant, and later became an editor, and worked, doing content for them, real weddings, tips, tricks, everything under the sun. And met Janae when I moved here to Minneapolis, and we kind of got this itch to start a new company, and that's how Wed by Design came about.
Okay, what if someone's listening and they're like, Style Me Pretty? Can you just, do I go to Target? What do I
Yes, I should back up and tell you what Style Me Pretty is. It is a wedding blog that primarily covers real weddings. So that was kind of the bulk of my job, is to go through submissions. We would get hundreds and hundreds of submissions every week and kind of curate the best of the best real weddings to showcase trends, what was happening in the industry, and yeah. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words.
No, you're fine. So if I'm a bride and I'm like looking for inspiration, maybe why would I pick Style Me Pretty? You know, like what are the kinds of things I'm going to see? What am I going to get besides real weddings, which I think is important. But if I'm a bride and I go on Pinterest, I probably think most of the weddings are real weddings, which they're not. Disclaimer.
Scary.
Yes.
Scary.
Those could be styled shoots in a field with one head table, and that's it.
True. Yes.
I mean, I think what really makes Style Me Pretty stand apart is they're working with the best of the best vendors in the industry, the best photographers, Jose Villa, I mean, the best planners, designers. So it's really inspirational content. It's such a fun publication to work for, and I loved every second of working there. I just kind of got this itch that I was ready to do something different and spread my wings. Exactly. I was ready to fly, spread my wings, and try something a little bit different in the industry. And so I kind of had like this little idea of, I think especially because I was working with on the editorial side featuring real weddings, I heard this sentiment over and over again from brides saying, how do I make that happen on my wedding day? Like, this is really pretty, but how does this actually relate to my real wedding?
Right.
Like, how many napkins is
yes.
there?
Yeah, give me actionable inspiration. That's like our big thing.
That's kind of our like catchphrase, if you will.
Actionable inspiration. And I think, when Stephanie, she came to me with Blush and Whim, was like, hey, are there any opportunities for doing, design work with you? I love your style. And so it was something where I brought Stephanie on to do design, and I was kind of in this place where I wanted to take our event design process to a national audience, but I wasn't quite sure how to bring it there. And so Steph walked away and came up with this little plan and came in and just pitched her cute little butt off, sat down and was like, I have this idea. And
with a blazer.
Seriously, so professional.
Clipboard.
I don't know about that.
Packet of paper.
Basically. With,
it was like an iPad and an idea.
Yeah, iPad and an idea. But she came in and was like, I think that we should make, event design shoppable to a national audience. There's so many great resources out there. She was kind of talking about how there's all these interior design companies that are doing that right now, where you see all these beautiful photos again on Pinterest or in magazines.
And then here's how you do it.
And here's how you do it.
Okay, so let's talk about Wed by Design.
Yes.
Actionable inspiration.
Yep.
So I sign up, and then what happens?
Yeah, I can take that one.
Yeah, you go.
So a bride comes on, they sign up, bride or groom, couple, sign up, they fill out a style profile. So that's kind of like a deep dive into their wedding style. So we're talking everything from like ideas, inspiration, their Pinterest boards. We are actually going to go through their Pinterest boards.
And we really break it out into the three main categories of design. So there's a whole section on floral design. There's a whole section on paper design, and then a whole section on rental and lighting design. So really breaking out budget. What do you like? What do you not like? Send us
Mhm.
all the photos of like your venue, of bouquets.
Send us
you like.
everything,
Send us
yes.
everything. So it really, like she says, deep dives into their inspiration.
And like, what stage should a bride or groom
Mhm.
come to you at? So you said venue. So
Mm-hmm.
potentially they've already booked their venue
Mm-hmm.
and they've
Mhm.
already had this Pinterest board going since, like I said in episode 0, since they were 6.
Right, before
Right.
they were even engaged.
They
Yes.
have like thousands of pins. Or can it
Yeah.
be like, can they come to you and they're like, no, we just got engaged?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly,
stage.
we tell them any stage. I think it's probably going to be most popular for brides and grooms who are newly engaged because that's kind of like when the crazy sets in.
The
Right? I mean, like you get
Crazy.
engaged and you're
Mhm.
like, but now what? Like, I don't know where to go from here. I'm up to my eyeballs in inspiration. I have been on Pinterest since 2 a.m. I'm starting to go crazy.
Right.
And then your
I d-
aunt's like, don't forget
Yeah.
about
Oh my
pudding.
God.
And you're like, like what?
Yes.
I don't have a dress yet. Like, what's wedding pudding? Like, I don't want to hear the story again
No,
about our
ex-
family tradition.
Exactly. And it's, brides are always really excited. Brides and
Mhm.
grooms are really excited in the beginning stages when the ring is fresh. Maybe they're
Mhm.
looking at venues, and then it
Yep.
starts to set in like timeline.
Mhm.
Pinterest starts to be
Ooh.
really overwhelming. So, like Steph
Yeah.
said, it's probably going to be brides and grooms that are in the beginning of the planning process. But if you are at any stage, I mean, if
Mhm.
you're starting to dive into design on your own and you're feeling really overwhelmed, it's a
Right.
great resource to
Yep,
jump in on.
absolutely.
We can save you at any point.
So there's
Mhm.
that initial preening through the
Mhm.
3
Mhm.
separate
Mhm.
design. Did you call them elements?
Yeah, the
types?
3 different kind of like main focal areas of event design.
Okay,
Mhm.
then what?
So they fill out the style profile. We get the style profile. So right now, Stephanie and I
Mhm.
are the main designers of What
Mhm.
by Design. So you'll either work with Stephanie or myself on the design process. So we'll really look through your style profile,
Mhm.
make sure everything's lining up. Reach back out to you if we need more information on
Right.
something, and then we put together a 10+ page wedding blueprint. So that's kind of our main product right now that we are offering to brides and grooms. And
So, kind of like a mood board.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
broken
It's like we
down.
wanted to make a mood a mood board feels like kind of flat, but like
Mhm.
how
Yeah.
can we make this interactive and like really help couples? And so that's kind of where the
Mhm.
shoppable element comes in too.
Yes.
So
to really
throughout-
take it off the
yes,
page.
Exactly. So
Yep.
giving brides and grooms like this list of like we're gonna make it happen. So we keep calling it actionable inspiration. So instead of just here's an inspiring Pinterest image that I really like how can I actually make it happen?
Right.
So I can click and shop it and add it to my cart right now.
We kind of always talk about it as like imagine that you're scrolling through Pinterest and every single Pinterest photo has little dots over like the menu card on the
Right,
place setting
right,
and over the chair,
right.
over the centerpiece,
And you
we
click
can,
on it,
and you
then
can buy
do
it. And
Yep.
and it's for we always say you can shop or share
Mhm.
our blueprint. So
Mhm.
if you are a DIY bride or groom
Mm.
and you're ready to kind of
Yep.
jump in and do it yourself, you can shop everything, or you can share it with your team of vendors that you have booked in your area. So we're not telling you that
Not to book
not to book
vendors, no.
vendors. Absolutely not. I mean, if that is something in your budget and you can afford to do that, that's obviously
it.
ideal.
Mhm.
Absolutely, to kind of
Invite
save
less
stress.
people. And do
Yes,
it.
but there are a lot of for as a wedding planner here, there's a lot of people that just can't afford certain vendors that
Right.
they maybe want for their wedding
Right.
day, and maybe
Mhm.
DIYing it is going to be the best approach to get a gorgeous wedding.
Mhm.
Right.
So we wanted to give them either option.
Yep,
So it's really for
exactly.
any bride.
So do you have like resources for rentals?
Yes.
And for stationery,
Yes.
and not just Minnesota, right?
Right,
'Cause
these
you
are
said
all-
national.
All
These are all
national
national
brands.
brands.
Yeah.
Mhm. That was kind of like that common thread we kept noticing that the companies popping up that were offering brides rentals, paper, even florals, all shoppable online, but no one was really helping couples tie it all together.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
You could buy your bridesmaids dresses online. You can buy your shoes. You can buy your ring. You could buy your florals,
Mhm.
but like nobody was helping them kind of like wrap it up in a pretty bow. And
Or
so,
it's like one vendor, and maybe they're like a stationer, a florist,
Mhm.
and then day
Correct.
of coordinating. And
Right.
it's like, but what about everything
All
else?
this other
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we have found so many companies that are
Mhm.
so amazing, doing like really, really wonderful work,
Mhm.
especially the floral companies we
Yeah.
found are incredible. Like
Yeah.
it's insane what the
Yeah.
florists are doing. I mean, you can go on some of these floral websites and they'll literally break out a whole wedding for you and show you exactly what
Love
flowers you have
that.
to purchase.
Love
They'll
that.
ship them to your house 3 days before your wedding and show you like
Yes.
exactly what you're
Mhm.
going to need to put
Yep.
into each centerpiece, each
Yeah.
bouquet.
Yeah.
So it's something that
yeah.
we're really excited to help brides navigate through and connect them with these vendors.
There's
on
a
national level.
florist, I think like closer to Welch, and she'll do, she'll buy the flowers and then like help you put them together, but she
Mhm.
doesn't really
So
put them
cool. So
together.
So smart.
So smart.
I think Donato's does that in Maple
Donato's
Grove,
does
too.
that.
You
Yeah,
can
they
go
do.
in with your bridal party
Amazing.
and you purchase the flowers, and then they'll be like, and this is kind of how you do a boutonniere, like, but you can
Yeah.
do it your way, and then we'll just
Right.
make sure that when you pin it, it doesn't
Mhm.
just like
Yep.
and then like
Yep.
fall off.
Exactly.
Which happens
Right.
Oh my goodness.
all the
Right.
time, no
Right.
matter how many pins you put in a boutonniere.
I know.
If it's
Mhm.
not constructed
I
well,
know.
Yep.
it's just like a floppy.
Yep.
They're always top heavy. Just like I'm always looking and they're always like at a 90 degree.
Yeah,
angle.
like that's when I get really sassy and I walk up and I'm like, "Who pinned this?" 'Cause
Yes.
they did a shit job.
yeah.
So
I'm like,
I'm
don't hug
redoing it.
anyone.
Let me
Don't
grab my extra
move.
pins.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's kind of go back to the basics of
Mhm.
your overall why. So kind of like, why should you have a wedding and why should it be well designed? Like,
That's a big question,
know.
but I mean,
Yeah.
besides the obvious of why you should have a wedding, I mean, you're marrying the person that you love, your best friend. But I think there is something really special about a wedding that you get to showcase your personal style as a couple. I mean,
Right.
I think the
Mhm.
highest compliment that a couple can receive about their wedding is it felt like them.
Mhm.
It didn't feel like a
Yes.
cookie cutter event. It didn't feel kind
Right.
of like anonymous or stuffy. Like, my gosh, like that was so them. Yes,
Personalized.
it was so like you're like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I feel them like in the details and the decor and the design
Right.
and the drinks and the food, you know,
Right.
just
Right.
everything.
Right. That's
Um,
huge. And I always tell
mhm.
my couples too, you know, like your wedding with all of this beautiful stuff, like that's all just background noise if you two, you know, are going to be stressed out on the day of and not, you know, really in the moment and
Mhm.
enjoying everything. Everyone's going to pick up on that energy and all of those beautiful details that you planned are going to fall flat because it's just
Mhm.
going to feel
right.
off.
And all those people are gonna be like, "We have to go early."
Yeah, we have to leave.
Gotta
ear-
go.
So with
Right.
all that
Such a busy
beauty,
day
yeah.
tomorrow.
So don't get lost in the background noise. I mean, that's so important to really like focus on why you're doing this, and it's to
Yeah.
share your love story with all of the people in your life that are super important to you, that you love dearly, and that you want to share in this journey with you and be a part
Right.
of your lives. So
Right.
that's, I mean, that's a huge reason to get
Absolutely.
married.
I think I have like 2 or 3 blog posts from last year that's all about like infusing your personality and making sure that people
Mhm.
walk away and they're
Exactly.
like, "That was so them."
That was so them. It didn't
Right.
feel
Oh my
just
gosh,
like,
that was so
that was just
them.
kind of like cookie cutter, you know, it was fine.
Right.
Like, nobody wants that for their wedding day. You want it to feel special and to like have those
Mhm.
little details that
Right.
like are a nod to your love story or how you met.
Right.
Or,
Right.
And I think back in the day, it used to be like the way to infuse your personality is to pick your own wedding colors. You know, like that was like, oh, I picked eggplant and beige. You know, and everyone's like,
Absolutely.
oh, I've never seen that before. But
Absolutely.
or like when I got married, okay, so this is like 4.5 years ago, we did the like pictures of us as our table
Oh,
numbers.
yeah.
And that was like
Oh,
kind of the
so
beginning
good.
of being like, hey, bring yourself into your
Uh-huh.
wedding. Don't
Mhm.
just
Yep.
have A, B, and C vendors
right.
and
Yep.
then like pick an entree that you both like. Now it's like
Right.
you could do so much,
much.
to just make it
Insane.
anything.
yeah.
Anything you want to do.
Yep.
Episode I don't know, I think it's 4. I talked with Hannah Hendricks who just got married and she had balloons. She had a ton of balloons at her
So
wedding.
fun.
And
I
it
love
sounds
that trend
so
right
like
now.
circusy, but
Yep.
it's not. It was super
No.
elegant and black tie and it was totally them.
Yep.
Like fun and
So fun.
flirty, playful. Just
I love those balloon installs right now. They're so in. They're everywhere. And they're so cool.
I know.
They're
And it
so
it makes it
amazing.
you have to see pictures. 'Cause
Yes.
you're like balloons.
Balloons. Is it the
Um,
80s again?
Yeah, I said birthday party.
But not at all. They're so cool.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. And so you're more the design side stuff and you're more like the wedding planning background.
Mhm.
What do you feel like going forward or in general is the best part of planning a wedding and what's the most difficult part?
Ooh.
Janae, you're
Yes.
logistics, so I feel like you can probably answer
Logistics.
this better than I can. I
Yes.
see weddings on the other side.
Yes, you see
typically.
them are all polished and pretty and in
Yes.
a nice bow. At
And
the end.
deleted all the images.
That was
this
my
person
job.
didn't get a napkin.
Yes.
Let's not show that picture.
Yeah.
My job literally consisted of like curating a wedding. So I would get, like 500 images and narrowing it down to the 20 that we're going to showcase. So it was
Right.
like,
That's so
yes.
hard.
So
Yes.
hard. Your job
Janae
was
was
so
in the
hard.
thick of it, seeing
I was
all
in
of
the
the
trenches.
sides. You were in
Yeah.
the trenches, girl.
So I think the best part of a wedding day is just seeing the look on a couple's face when they see all of those details come together and they know that like all the hard work that we've done.
Oh. You okay, Ian?
And we're back.
Oh, there. Should I start over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Start over.
Yeah, so the part of a wedding day that I think is the best is seeing the look on couples' faces when they see everything coming together, that all the hard work that we've worked on together, all of the details, all the meetings, all the late nights, it's all been worth it.
Right.
They see everything come together and see how beautiful everything looks and see their guests and see the experience and just really enjoy the whole day.
Right.
That's the best part.
Mhm.
The worst part, there are a lot of different stories. I mean, there's just so many different variables that go into a wedding. I think that's what's really difficult about like having a wedding,
Yeah,
hosting a
family
big wedding.
dynamics.
Family
and-
dynamics.
yeah.
There's all sorts of drama that can come up with family dynamics, just clashing personalities, things go wrong. There's just too many variables with a wedding for it to go from point A to point B perfectly.
Seamlessly.
And I
Right.
think it's hard, especially for brides and grooms that maybe have a type A personality or are really controlling to
Or
let that
high
control.
anxiety.
High anxiety, because it's not a black and white type
Right.
of thing. There's a billion shades of gray. I always tell my
Right.
couples that, like, if they're coming in and they seem stressed, I'm like, you're just gonna have to let up the control
Right.
because it's gonna be a lot easier for you.
Yeah. I think that's the most difficult part of
Mhm.
like the wedding is your perspective and expectations.
Right.
Mhm.
So your day can be amazing and beautiful and wonderful if you
Mhm.
say my day is amazing and wonderful and
It's,
beautiful.
It's your self-talk.
Yeah, it's totally
Absolutely.
you. And then
Absolutely.
if you harp on those little things like, what do you mean there's not an extra dessert fork set at the table?
Or what do you mean
They
I
have to-
can't get this exact linen with this type of sparkle in it?
yeah,
it's,
I know that might seem like a big deal, but guess
Right.
what?
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
I think it's
it'll
so
be
important for
yours.
couples
Yep.
to understand and just to like accept right from their get go. There are going to be things that go wrong on my wedding day.
Right.
Like just accept it, swallow the pill.
Yep. Breathe it
It's a
in,
breathe
breathe
in.
out.
Yes, and it'll
Like,
be
yep.
okay.
It's gonna be
It's gonna
okay.
be
And it's gonna be
okay.
okay. We're probably the only people that are going to notice what goes
Right.
wrong.
Right.
as
and
long
even-
as nobody dies.
Right.
We're all
And
gonna
if
make
they
it out on
do,
the other
my
side.
insurance will cover one. So
Right.
one person can
Absolutely.
die.
And I mean, we have
That's it.
catastrophic things that happen, but it's not gonna. I mean, those are like a dime a dozen. You know, it doesn't
Right.
happen.
Mhm.
It's not.
It keeps coming
often.
back to the why of like why are we doing this?
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
love that.
Yes.
Okay, so that's during the day of. What about during the planning process? Like going through your engagement and
Mhm.
figuring out how to throw a party for 100+ people.
Yeah, I think what's
Yeah.
hard about that is just again expectations with couples because it's not like we've talked about this. It's
Mhm.
not like they're shopping for jeans or a sweater where they know how much things kind of
Try it
cost.
on. Doesn't fit.
Doesn't fit.
good.
Nope, not good.
Bought it. Let me return it.
Exactly. It's something where it's an industry that they're thrown into that they have preconceived notions about and they have expectations on, but they
Mhm.
don't actually know
Yeah, I mean,
what
especially
they're doing.
if you're a couple that's coming from a different world, so you're lawyers by day or whatever your trade
doctors,
is. Yeah.
yeah.
I think sometimes couples don't even have the language to say what they want, which is kind of why, we created Wed by Design is to come alongside them through this.
Mhm.
But, saying I want an industrial chic wedding with, feminine touches and
Right.
peonies. It's just like they
So
don't
blush and
yeah.
concrete.
Yes, it's like navigating. It's really navigating the language there too, because
Mhm.
sometimes brides and grooms will come in and they're talking about something,
Mhm.
and I'm like, I think this is what they're saying, but I'm not quite sure. And then
Mhm.
you figure it out, you nail it down. But
This picture or this picture?
yes, and it's
Yeah.
hard for them to
Yeah.
sometimes even know what they want because, like I said, they're thrown into this world
You
for
don't
9
know.
to 12 months, and
Right.
they're done with it. So
Right.
it's just like a really quick deep dive thrown in the deep end.
Yeah, I mean, and I
then
think
they're
another
done.
really hard element of planning is that I think it's an inspiration overload happening right now when you go on
Mhm.
Pinterest,
Instagram.
blogs, bridal magazines.
Yes,
Not to mention like your family and friends and their perspectives and what they want out of your wedding. It's so much noise to kind of tune out and focus on well, what is actually our personal style? And I think like a lot of thing that I kept seeing in the wedding industry is brides going off on tangents of I'm going to plan this rustic farm wedding, but then they see a pin that's kind of modern, and then they're off in another direction, and then they're off in another
it's
direction.
holding them
Or-
accountable to what
Yes.
they're planning.
Yes.
Or
is
even
really hard.
I have heard of, and I had a couple brides this year that booked a venue and then decided, actually, we want
Mhm.
something different,
Mm-hmm.
and
So
either
scary.
ate their deposit or
Mhm.
Yeah.
the venue was really nice to them.
Really nice. Give 'em
Because it was
money
probably a
back.
Saturday in June, so they're like,
Right.
whatever.
Right. I think it's, with Blush and Whim, it's important, with me when I'm working with couples on event design that we don't start their event design until they have said yes to the dress. That's when
Right.
I say we will start them because usually you're buying your dress, 8 to 9 months before, sometimes 6 months before. and you don't have enough time to change your mind a million times at that point. You have to make smart decisions on what you're booking.
Yes.
But if someone comes to me 3 years before and they're ready to go ahead on event design, I'm like, this is very exciting for you. I'm really glad you know what you like now, but come back in
Call
3
me
years.
later.
Exactly. Because there's just too many trends changing all the time and too
Right.
many inspiration
So many
photos
trends.
coming up on Pinterest that are new, that are,
Yes.
going
Yeah.
viral. So,
And then also, what if a company goes out of business?
right.
You know,
Right.
is that a weird like
No.
caveat? But I feel
Not
like
at all.
just like in anything else, like restaurant business, there's a high turnover.
It's hard to guarantee things that far out with anything.
Right.
With anything.
Right. So
Right.
you're like, oh, I found this florist and she's new and she'll do this for me. And it's like, in 3 years?
She might be doing something completely different. Or
Maybe by then she'll
yeah.
be burnt out of weddings.
Yeah, exactly.
I never want to do another boutonniere ever.
Yeah, it's hard. And I think it's hard because brides have brides and grooms have high anxiety on that. And they want things guaranteed, but you can't always guarantee everything.
Okay, so with planning and maybe we're doing like a year out, 9 months, 12 months out. Like what suggestions do you have for brides and grooms to stay balanced and to still be active participants in their life? Like you're still going to work, you're still getting sleep.
Right.
If you're me, you need 10 hours. So and then maybe you have like family and like a new birth in the family or it's
Right.
holiday season, right? So how do you keep balanced or how do you balance the struggle of planning your wedding and still living life?
One
any
of the
tips?
biggest tips I have is to establish whether it could be date nights, days of the week, that we have, it's no wedding talk rule. Like I'm a firm believer in that. Is
so smart.
Yeah, I mean, like put it on the calendar, whatever you have to do. Maybe it's like on Friday nights we do not mention the wedding. Like you have to have some time for your sanity where we're not going to be talking about seating charts or napkin folds or anything. We're going to be focusing on ourselves. We're going to be focusing on us.
Our
Like
life.
Yes, our
Being
life,
engaged.
like being engaged. Because I mean, I think when you're in the thick of it, it feels like it's a lot. It feels heavy sometimes, but the reality is most couples are engaged about a year, and that's short in the grand scheme of everything.
Really short.
Yeah,
Flies by.
and so you want to soak it in. You don't want to look back and be like, oh, that was the worst time. That was the worst time of my life. I was so stressed.
And I feel
was
like
so
a lot
frazzled.
of brides and grooms say that. They're like,
Right.
I'm so glad our wedding's over. I
Yes.
loved your
Yeah, I
wedding.
hear that
but
a
I'm so
lot.
glad it's
Yes.
over. I
Yes.
never want to do that again.
But it
I
doesn't
never
have to
wanna
be like that, you know. And
plan
I
it
think,
out.
yeah, it doesn't have to be that way. I think if you make smart choices, and I think another thing to remember is to delegate and outsource. Like if you have the
Right.
bridesmaid who is super crafty and loves to do, you know, graphic design, or she likes to make favors, like delegate to her or outsource.
Yes.
Hire people like planners and designers, whether it's like a local vendor or someone like us who's online. Delegate, make your life easier. Like, you don't have to do everything.
Right. Give your mom and your mother-in-law something to do because they are dying to get in
Yes.
there.
Like,
if you-
Mom, call all the
Yes.
people who haven't RSVP'd.
They're
Yes.
just, yes, okay, whatever you need. I
Yes.
love you. Your moms, I see this all the time. Moms just want to get in there so bad, and brides and grooms are usually really like arm's length, like reluctant
You're
to
gonna
let them
ruin
in.
it. This
They think they're
isn't
gonna
your
ruin it.
wedding.
Yeah, you don't bulldoze me, but if you give them like specific tasks to accomplish, they will be your biggest.
And then that's the difference between
helper.
that mother of the groom or bride toast at dinner.
Yeah.
When she's
Right.
like, I just am so glad you could all come to their wedding.
You don't want that to happen.
Like
Yeah.
if you give your mom some way to feel involved,
Yes.
I feel like then she's not like, this is my thing.
Yeah.
Right,
You know, 'cause
right.
that's
It's a big
weird.
point of
That's weird if your
contention.
mom's thanking people for coming to her wedding.
It's
and
weird.
it's not her wedding.
Right.
That's
right.
really weird.
I've definitely
Like, how does that happen?
I've definitely had jokes made at weddings where like the father gets up and he's like, "Welcome to my wife's wedding," you know, things like that.
Yes.
So, or my wife's dream wedding. It's a way for them to live vicariously through their daughter or son again, have what
That's
they
so
didn't
funny.
have. But no, delegate, like Steph said, that's huge.
So
because
let's
that's what's gonna
give
keep you sane.
listeners more. So what are things that they could delegate? So RSVP, like
favors.
Oh yeah, favors for sure.
Calling vendors if you need updates on quotes or you just need a little more information on something, please give that to someone else to do. I mean, that's a huge part with full planning for me, is that I can take that weight off of a couple of shoulders and call all these vendors, collect all the quotes, present them with a nice, pretty proposal or contract, and they just sign away, put the money down, and it's done. And I've already negotiated all the fees down. You know, maybe I have discounts I'm applying. Have your parents do that. That's a great thing to have someone do for you.
Or I think it's a good thing I mean, you should probably know this also, but delegate reading contracts.
Yes.
Yeah. Because if you're, hey, brides and grooms, you're signing something, you should know what you're signing.
Right.
Like, you should know that the DJ requires a meal. You
Right.
should know that your
Right.
photographer retains copyright of your images. That
Right.
means you can't just put a filter on your
No.
Facebook photo before you post
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. And knowing time
Technically
frames.
can't.
And knowing time frames on things
When
too.
you're going to get pictures back.
I think
from
a lot
your
of brides and
video.
grooms get overly anxious and they start to drive their photographers or videographers crazy on asking,
Right.
when am I getting this? It's been a week and the photographer is like, you didn't read
Actually,
my contract.
Right.
So don't drive your vendors crazy either. You know, that's a huge thing. Or
Trust the people that you hire.
Trust the
It's
people
so
you hire.
important.
let the control, read your contracts, you know what you're purchasing. Because I get emails still where people are like, what exactly did I buy? Like,
Right.
It's all in your contract. It's right there.
Yes.
You know, just be a smart bride. Be a smart bride or groom. Do the work. You know, write down details if you need to remind yourself.
Yep.
When payments are due, when things are
Yeah,
happening.
that's why I like that aisle
Yeah.
planner, that online
Aisle
management
planner is
tool.
amazing.
And then
So
you can
smart.
sync calendars,
Ugh,
so you can put the
lifesaver.
payments, and it'll remind you like a month before, a week before.
Right,
And I
right.
always tell clients, I'm sure you do too, hey, pay all your vendors before your wedding.
Yes.
So set all those due dates to be earlier
Than they actually do.
Yeah, some
Mhm.
you know, some vendors are like a photo booth might be like, oh, that's okay, you can pay me like the Sunday after your
No.
wedding. The
Who wants
Sunday
to do
after your
that?
wedding.
No.
Right. When you're getting ready to go on your honeymoon, maybe you're in Jamaica or like, no,
Right.
you want to have that all done beforehand
Right.
so you can just enjoy.
The only
Absolutely.
task to do after your wedding, besides thank you cards, should be mailing in your marriage certificate. So
Yes.
it's legal.
Yes, exactly.
And then give your dress to your mom
Yes.
so
Right.
she can get it,
Yep.
whatever. What's that called? Cleaned.
Oh my gosh, my dress is like rotting away in my closet somewhere, and I didn't legally change my name until like a year ago when I had to get a new passport.
Because it's a lot. It feels like a lot.
It's a
You
lot.
are
It is a
are
lot, yeah.
overwhelmed from all of this
Right.
planning,
Right.
from all of this like people nagging at you and people sending you emails and asking you questions. What time is dinner? What's for dinner? Where do I sit? Where is it
Oh
going
my
to be? Where do I
gosh.
park? What hotel? You know. And so then at the end of your wedding night, you're like big sigh of relief. Please, no more things.
No more, no more
Zero
things.
checklist.
Zero things.
Zero checklist.
Like
Yep,
I don't even
exactly.
want to go back to work.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. So a few other things that they can delegate. Let's
Let's
brainstorm
see, we talked
together.
about vendor
Yes.
communication, favors.
Favors. If they're doing DIY anything, obviously.
Yeah, any
have-
DIY.
Have a little party.
Have a
Right.
party. Yeah, make it
Yeah.
fun. Like have wine there, have music on. Like it doesn't have to
Right.
be a dreaded chore to stuff the envelopes. Make
Right.
it fun. Like make it an experience you get to remember with your bridesmaids.
Right. You could even incorporate that into like a shower or a bachelorette party. Maybe you're making something cute for the ceremony or
I feel like this is where that 2017 buzzword systems comes into place.
yeah.
So if you're doing like stuffing invitation envelopes and it goes in a certain order, like set it up so then it
Right.
takes less
Yeah.
time. But then,
Oh yeah.
because I'm assuming most brides that are DIY are like, but it has to be perfect.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
So don't let that get in the way of asking
Yes.
for help.
Right.
though.
Yes. And don't
Other people can put paper into
Yes.
other papers.
and just little things, even if it seems like something you think you can get done the week before your wedding or something, delegate it out. Because speaking from example, on my wedding day, I think my mom was running around doing I don't know
Mom.
what.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had nothing done because I was so controlling about the whole thing because I was already a wedding planner at the time.
Yeah.
And I totally put my own wedding on the back burner and didn't delegate, and it totally showed.
Yeah.
I think we were doing our seating chart the night before. I mean, really ridiculous
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Don't
do
listen.
that.
Yeah, it's not a good example. I promise I'm a good wedding planner, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think my own
you
wedding
learned
planner
really well.
I should have had a wedding planner. Doctors need doctors. Wedding planners need wedding planners. Therapists need therapists.
Yes.
So true. Okay, so along the lines, so we talked about delegating. Let's talk about more things that you can DIY. You can DIY stationery, maybe hire a really good printer so then you actually get good
Yeah.
print quality and the colors that
Exactly.
you're expecting.
Exactly.
It's probably not going to be much cheaper to DIY
Right. I
if
mean,
you want a certain look.
yeah, I think with Wed by Design, that's what's great is you can shop a lot of these things. So there's so many amazing paper companies online that are doing.
You
They do
design it,
everything.
Everything.
We just do the part that's
Yes.
actually takes skill.
Down to stir sticks for your signature
Everything.
cocktail. You can
Cute
get
little
all of that.
napkins,
Yep.
cocktail napkins, everything.
Right. So do that. I mean, and at a quarter of the price. I mean, it's so reasonably priced to do those things online. So going online and buying things.
I
And
mean, I
just
think that's
checking
like
it off
one of the
list.
most exciting things about getting married now is there are so many options. If you have a grand budget and you can hire all your dream vendors, for sure. Go
Right.
do that. But if you don't, and you're on the other end of the spectrum,
You can
can-
still have a pretty wedding.
you can still have a gorgeous wedding.
Gorgeous.
Yes, you just have to
Yes.
make some smart choices.
be organized.
Yeah, be
Mhm.
organized. Like really
Mhm.
do your homework on what companies are out there. And so much. I mean,
Right.
we can buy anything online these days. We're buying like our
Right.
toilet paper from Amazon, and
Right.
now you can.
Have it
can-
delivered by
yeah,
drone to your front
right?
door.
And I mean that's kind of like
Yes.
why we started this too. Is it's like I
Right.
mean the world is going to shoppable everything online. So why
Right.
has the wedding industry like it's kind of catching up there? Like it's going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean that's there again kind of why we wanted to do this
Right.
project. Yeah.
Right.
Table
Mhm.
centerpieces. That can be
Absolutely.
DIY.
Oh my gosh,
Votives.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Votives.
Yeah.
If you
linens.
think though, if you're collecting votives, being like, oh, I'm gonna collect all my own, and so far I have 16.
Yeah, no. Quadruple
16
that.
would be like 2 cocktail tables and 1 guest table.
Right. Make a plan. I think that's really important when you're
Uh-huh.
DIYing is make an overall plan for each guest table, each head
Mhm.
table. This is something we do with Wed by Design is we're
Right.
breaking out that 10-page
How
blueprint.
many
Yes.
of each?
This
how
is
many,
how many
you
you need.
need.
Yep.
Yes. Here's where to buy it. You could buy it from
Right.
Target, from IKEA,
Yep.
from
Yep.
wherever. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then do you
Yeah.
want it to be like mismatch? Then that's gonna be a
Right.
little bit easier to
Right.
like collect the items
Yep.
and to like ask a friend, hey, did you have leftover
Right.
this from
Yep.
your wedding? Or ask a church like, hey, do you have extra ferns?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Just
but
don't
if you
wing
want it
it.
to be matched,
Don't wing it. That's what
Don't
I
wing
think
it.
my biggest thing is make a plan. Say I need 3 to 4 on each guest table and then multiply it by how many tables you have so you know exactly what you need
right?
and
Mhm.
stick to that plan. Otherwise you end up overbuying. And you'll just be at Hobby Lobby or Target or wherever and you're like, I think this will work. This looks
Right.
cute. And then you don't end up using it. I mean, I get so
Mhm.
many.
Right, and that's a lot of
Yes.
money wasted that could go
So
to your
much money.
mortgage or honeymoon.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
or
Right.
student loans.
Yes.
And I have so many
we all
weddings where
student
brides
loans.
are handing me, a lot of what we do is we take their personal decor,
Right, and then
set that
set it
up, and sometimes it's, a couple of bins, sometimes it's a U-Haul truck full of stuff. But the biggest thing that I find, it doesn't matter how much you have, is how well organized is that personal decor. If you're just handing me a bin, you're like, I don't know, I just bought all this stuff, just put it wherever.
Okay,
Right.
cool. So you have 8 signs that say "Love at First Sight." We
Yes.
probably are not going to use
We're
all
probably
8.
not going to use all 8. So have it well organized, make a plan so that you don't overspend and drive
Right.
yourself crazy.
Right,
Mhm.
and then also that's where that mom piece can come and play too.
Huge
Because mom
piece.
might just go out and like every time she's at Joann's, she's picking up like the whole David Tutera section.
Right,
And it's like,
exactly.
Mom, that's not our
Right.
style. That's not what
Yes.
we're looking for.
Right.
Give her a list. Be like, these are exact things that we need. Like,
Mhm.
we need more like tool. Just
Right.
buy all the
Right.
tool.
Right.
And I think it keeps coming back to like, what is our style? What is our wedding direction? And having that kind of clearly defined, because you can like something. It's totally okay to like, if I'm a rustic bride, but I really like this thing that's super modern, it's okay for me to like that. But to
Right.
say that, but that doesn't fit with my wedding style. So I'm going to turn away from that. It's
Exactly.
okay.
Someone
Right.
said they're like, you should design your wedding how your house is
Yes.
decor, like how
Yeah.
your house decor
Absolutely.
is, and
I
mirror
mean,
that because that's the stuff that
yes.
you like because you live with it.
Yeah,
every
Live with
day.
it every day.
I
That's
think
your
you
style.
like
That's a
that.
great
Yeah.
way to define your wedding styles. Looking at your house decor, looking at your fashion, like what
Your
do you
personal
wear every? Yeah, your
style.
personal
Right.
style doesn't have to just be like, well, what flowers do I like? What pins do I like? Like,
Right.
let's look at your whole life and see what is your style.
What
Right.
furniture pieces do you
Yes,
like?
and I think that's
Yes.
why that's how you get a wedding that feels less trendy and more like there again. This feels like us as a couple.
Organic.
Yes,
Like, it
very
just flows,
organic.
it's not
yes.
forced.
It's
Right.
not forced. It's not a quirky couple trying to be like stiff and formal at a ballroom wedding.
Right.
We don't want that. We
Go
want
with
it to
it,
feel
vibe
like
with
you.
it.
Yes.
I have so many couples that come in and sit down. They're like, I don't know what I like, and they're like dressed super cute. And then
Yeah.
you look at their
Mhm.
Pinterest board, and it's all very it flows
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
it's like your personal style. I can
Mhm.
definitely see
You're
why
like,
you like
okay,
this.
well, let's start with Kate
Yeah.
Spade.
Yes.
What accessories do you have?
Yes.
Like, and then we'll go from there.
Then we'll go
Yes,
from there.
exactly.
Yeah, that's why I mean so much wedding design revolves around what the dress looks like that the bride's
Mhm.
getting because
Right.
that's a huge
Mhm.
design piece for the day.
And then
So.
like another jumping off point, usually brides and grooms are opinionated about what they want people in their bridal party to wear.
Right.
So
Sure.
then that can
Right.
kind of stem. Like, are you doing paisley ties or
Mhm.
polka dot or no
Exactly.
ties or
what patterns and
suspenders?
textures are you doing?
Right.
And do you want your
Mhm.
brides to match or mismatch in the
Right.
same color or
Mhm.
different? Do you want prints? And then that can kind of stem
Into
Absolutely.
linens,
so then your
absolutely.
bridal
Right.
party looks good in the space
Right.
and not
Exactly.
just like a pretty
Uh-huh.
person in the
Th-
space.
yes,
exactly.
it's like coming back to that
fits.
cohesive design. We want everything to flow and fit within the same idea.
Right. And even
Yeah.
with bridal party design, talking about personal style for your bridesmaids, your groomsmen, what are they going to look good in and what reflects their personal style. So if you're doing mismatched dresses,
Yes.
what patterns are maybe going to be good on different body types
Right.
and what colors are going to be good within like your
Yes.
overall palette.
And let's not forget the guys, because
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
maybe one too many guys in suspenders that,
should not be wearing suspenders. Probably not the most
Like,
flattering.
yeah, do you
Right.
want them to look like a trendy lumberjack or a real lumberjack?
Yeah.
Like which one?
Or a cartoon lumberjack. A lot of guys in
A
suspenders look like cartoon
20-something-year-old
characters.
or an 80-year-old? Like,
Yeah. Or a 5-year-old.
Yeah,
just
just be mindful
Mhm.
right.
and be gracious, right? Like,
Absolutely.
it's your wedding, you should
Yes.
have what you want, but coming from an only child, don't be a spoiled brat about it.
No,
Like-
remember your wedding is way bigger than you. I think that's a
Right.
big thing where couples coming in, I think they feel bulldozed because they have specific ideas and expectations for their wedding day, and then other people have specific expectations and ideas.
But
so
I wanted to invite my whole
Right.
second cousin's family.
but just remember, I always try to, bring it back to, and now that I have a daughter, it really does change my perspective on this, but when brides are maybe getting a guest list from their parents and it's all these people that are their parents' friends, they're like, but I don't know any of these people, they're not important to me. It's like, think about your best friends in your life,
Right.
not being able to come to your child's wedding someday. Like, that's really
Right.
important because they helped
Yes.
raise you. They were there for all these milestones
Yes.
Mhm.
that you don't even remember or appreciate. And it's important if you are deciding to host a big wedding to be mindful of the expectations of everyone else around you.
And if your parents are paying for the wedding,
That's
so
right.
sorry, but they
Yes,
get to
you
enjoy
cannot
it
bite the
however
hand
the
that
hell they
feeds.
want to.
Exactly. So be gracious.
Yes.
Yes. And communication. Just talk through things. I
Yes.
mean, I fought with my own mom. I love my mom, but
Mhm.
we definitely fought when we were planning my wedding.
Mhm. Same here.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's gonna come with it. It's just a mother-daughter thing. You're just gonna fight with your mom, but talk through it and make sure
Mhm.
that it's not gonna leave permanent wounds
Yep.
after you're done. Because it's at the end of the day, it really is just a wedding.
Right,
So you have
right.
to remember that too.
Right. It's such a balance, right?
such a
and like you were
balance.
saying
Mhm.
stuff like, what's your why? Why are you even doing this? Well, you're
Yes.
getting married because you're madly and truly and deeply in love
Right.
and you
Mhm.
want to spend your whole entire life with this person.
Yep.
And the reason why you're choosing to have a wedding instead of getting eloped is that you want people to celebrate your love
Mhm.
with you.
Right.
And you want
your
those people
support
to
system.
celebrate happily, assumedly, right?
Yep.
You
Yeah.
want them to be like, yay, instead
we
of
love
like,
you.
F this.
She was so horrible.
I missed work for this
right.
bullshit. Like,
Right. You don't
yeah,
want that
you want
to
them
happen.
to be happy. So,
Right.
yes, it's about you. Okay. And step 2, you want people to be happy.
Mhm.
Step 3, you want them
Mhm.
to be comfortable and like have a good
Right.
time and make great memories.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That's the end goal is to,
Yeah. You want everyone to
Get
leave at the
married.
end of
Yeah.
the night and
Yes.
you want them to be like, yeah, let's go make more babies so we can have more weddings in our life.
Yes,
you know? Like,
exactly.
I'm so in love. Like, I'm a perfect
Exactly.
amount of liquored up and there's a
Yes.
free ride to my hotel.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is the best night ever.
That's ideal.
Right.
Okay, so how does the design impact the experience that guests have? Like, let's
Mhm.
start from the moment that they drive up to the ceremony venue.
Yeah, I think again going
Yeah.
back to personal style, like
Yeah.
really making it feel like you're almost inviting someone into your home, that it's feeling very intimate.
Exactly. It's like having friends over for a dinner party. Like you want them to feel, I think guests love to be spoiled at weddings. Like that's a little
Mhm.
secret, but they love
They
it.
do.
Love to feel special,
love it.
VIP
For
treatment.
me,
I what?
Oh,
yeah.
like I'm coming out to the ceremony and I get a glass of champagne handed to
Yes,
me. Like
yes.
they love
I
it.
love that.
or just
Like-
that they know where to go for the
Right.
ceremony.
Exactly.
Like either
Right.
it's really clear, like
Mhm.
there's a path,
Mhm.
or there's someone greeting them, being like, "Welcome."
Yes.
Yes.
Like I do that all the time.
Yes.
And people are like, "Oh my gosh,
Oh,
thank
hello,
you."
I will take your
I'm like,
gift.
hi,
Yeah.
hi, right this way.
It just makes them feel like they're at a VIP event.
Yeah.
They feel really
Mhm.
special.
yeah, and then I
Mhm.
get to be a super big ham bone,
Yes.
and no one knows anything.
Yeah.
I'm
Like, is
"Oop,
she like a friend
this
of
is
the
my
bride?"
regular talk right this way.
Right this way.
Okay, so then they're sitting down and they're looking around, right? Like that's going to be a huge opportunity for design to impact
Right.
Mhm.
what they feel about how the day is going to go,
Mhm.
what they feel about this couple, what they
Mhm,
are
mhm.
feeling just in
Mhm.
general. Am I comfortable? Am I hot? Am I sticky? Am I
Mhm.
like feeling the love?
Yep.
Is this
Right.
string quartet swooning me or what? That's
It's all about the
that's not how
experience. You
use
want
it.
like that ceremony to have like that Love Actually ceremony type of
Mhm.
vibe where people are like, this is amazing.
Yep.
Just giving them like a really cool intimate experience there where they really feel like they're a part of your life.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a huge thing for guests coming to your wedding is
Mhm.
sometimes, you know, some of your guests think that they're this big part of your life and they sit down and realize, oh my gosh, there's all these other
There's
people.
all these other people
I
that
don't
are
know
part of their life too, and I
them.
don't know them. Like I'm one small part
Yeah.
of this person's life. I'm so honored
Right.
to be here right now. This
Mhm.
is so special.
Mhm.
So just making you know
Absolutely.
everyone feel like that, making them a part of your ceremony, I think is that
Mhm.
experience that guests are really looking for.
And that's why you have like a receiving line or dismissing line or a
Right.
thank you toast
Yes,
right when you walk
right.
into the reception because
Yes.
you want to acknowledge like thank you for being here.
Yes.
Thanks for taking time out of your
Mhm.
life to support our love
right.
because not
Mhm.
everyone does have a relationship that people support.
Exactly.
Right.
Or just like a really
Right.
beautiful program with really
Oh,
amazing verbiage,
yes.
Yeah.
verbiage in it that's talking to the guests that are
Mhm.
there,
Yeah.
thanking them for coming, thanking
Yeah.
them for being a part of your life.
I think a heartfelt thank you is so underrated.
Yes.
When it comes
One
to
where you like
weddings.
look around.
Yes.
And
And,
you're
just
like,
genuinely
"Yes,
thanking
thank
people. I
you,
mean,
thank
people
you."
In the eye.
typically have taken
Thank
off
you.
work
Thank
to be
you.
there. They've
Right.
typically like, spent some money. They've thrown down some cash for your
Yeah.
wedding gift. Like they maybe have traveled. They maybe bought a plane ticket or a train
In a
ticket.
hotel room.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Attitude of
Mhm.
gratitude.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Totally agree. And then what about like the day after or days after, years after their wedding? How does the design kind of impact how they feel about that? Or how guests,
Yeah.
like maybe personal experience you can talk about, like
Mhm.
talking with a guest that's like, oh yeah, I remember at my cousin's wedding, it was so pretty. This.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
I got married I think about like 6 months after Pinterest had been like invented.
I got married before Pinterest. Thank God.
So I was kind of like the guinea pig a little
Pinterest
bit.
bride,
Yes.
guinea pig.
Oh yeah. I think I got my account maybe like 3 months before my wedding, and it was like chalkboards everywhere, trying to
eggplant and
trying to do
burlap.
Yes,
oh my
eggplant and
gosh,
burlap.
trying to like incorporate all of the things into my wedding. And so I look back, like I think the bones of the wedding, like the overall style feels like us, but some of the details, I think I went on a little bit of a tangent there
Yeah.
because
Same.
yeah, exactly. So I think when it comes to design, like sticking true to your style as a
Right.
couple, like keep coming back to that
Right.
initial inspiration, like what do we want this to feel
Mhm.
like? There again, we want it to feel like our home. We want to feel like we're inviting people over for a dinner party and we're
Right.
letting them into a little piece of our lives. So
Right.
not getting kind of down the rabbit hole of all of the
Right.
chalkboards, all of the signage. all of-
Don't go
Yeah.
overboard.
Yes.
I think down the road too, I think beautiful event design is just going to be an accent to your relationship with your person that you're getting married to on that day. So
Mhm.
no matter what, I mean, even if there was no decor there at all,
Right.
if you guys have a great relationship and like a great vibe going, people are going to remember that. But beautiful event design is just going to accent that and just
Mhm.
enhance everything and make it feel so much more amazing and so
Yes.
much more beautiful. So that's something down the road where guests might not be like, I remember the specific tablescape, I remember that linen and that centerpiece, but they're going to just remember.
It was so
It
beautiful.
was so beautiful.
And they were beautiful.
And
it
I
was a
felt
beautiful
so
night.
special being at that
Yes.
wedding, and I just didn't want it to end. It was just so magical. So it just enhances everything.
Absolutely. It enhances your love.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like
Yes.
when you, okay, this is dating myself. I'm going to talk about scrapbooks for a second. So.
Oh my gosh, I dug up a box full of scrap. We just cleaned out our basement. I was pulling out all these old scrapbooks from like high school.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Like, God, I put a lot of effort
Yes.
into triple mounting things.
Senior scrapbooks.
All those
Senior
Hobby Lobby
scrapbooks.
trips.
Yes. And
Yes.
it's, mine is atrocious. It's like 80 pages
Puff
long.
paint.
I went through it and was like, so all of this has to be burned. Like, no, but
Keep it
scrapbook
forever.
for wedding. I don't know. No one does this, and I don't care. I'm still talking about it. But it'd be cool. Like, this is what I did. A lot of our design elements, some of them were paper, and so then we put them in our scrapbook, so then we can go
Mhm.
back and look at them, and then
Right.
it's like, oh my gosh, remember this cute little sign about getting on the dance floor or whatever,
Yes.
you know?
Right. I mean, that's what's so amazing about photographers now is they're
Yes.
capturing those details.
Yeah,
Back
that
in the
flat
day,
lay.
they never
What
did
was that?
A good flat lay. Yeah. What was
Like
a flat
Pinterest.
lay?
Pinterest used to
Yeah.
be all Google images.
Right.
FYI.
Yeah.
Like,
Just all pose photos.
like the ugliest,
Ugliest
pictures.
pictures.
Horrible lighting, and you'd be
Yes.
like, okay, I think I can make that. Because
Yeah.
there's no instructions.
No
on how to
instructions
make it.
there.
You
No.
go to
Right.
the library and you rent or you get a book
You
on
rent
how
a
to
book.
DIY stuff. Yeah.
What is a library?
Dang it. Feel like an old lady. Okay, so what else do you guys want to talk about? I mean, I want you guys to each give one good piece of advice that you feel like everyone should have.
You know what we haven't talked about yet is budget.
Okay,
like
yes.
that.
Let's
Going
get into
back,
it.
Budget
oh,
is
gosh.
giant, and we just preach
Yes.
this all day
Yes.
long with Wed by Design.
I mean, it goes back to like having a smooth, fun wedding
Mhm.
planning experience. Is
Mhm.
having that conversation early and often.
Who's paying for
Who's
a wedding?
paying? And,
How
well,
much
and
are they
what are
buy
we going
anything?
to spend? Yes, before you
Yes.
buy anything. Yeah,
which is so against
yes.
our nature. You just want to start buying.
You just want to start
things.
buying. You're so
And
excited.
then you're like,
Yeah.
great, we spent all of our money
Yes.
on candles and we don't
Yeah.
have any food.
We have no
We
food.
don't
But
know
we're gonna
food.
have so many candles.
Yes.
It's so
Edible
pretty.
candles.
Right. Right. So yeah, setting expectations really early,
Set it
communication,
early.
having conversations, even if they're awkward.
Mhm.
Yes.
Seeing who's
And
contributing, 'cause
yes.
it might surprise you. We always talk about that. There might
Mhm.
be someone like a grandma that's going to
Or
buy
an
your
aunt.
dress, or an
Yeah,
aunt,
or an aunt,
Yes,
who,
that
cousin,
happens
uncle.
often.
Yes.
godparents.
And really
yeah.
like setting out what is most important to us. You've got to prioritize. Like, is
Mhm.
photographer, is
Mhm.
venue, is the dress. I mean,
Mhm.
there's no right or wrong here. It's not, if you're a fashionista, then blow your budget on the dress. Like, that's okay.
right.
Or
But you
two.
have to prioritize. Or two or three.
Yeah.
You do
Lots
you.
of costume changes.
A couple
Yeah.
shoes.
But you've got to prioritize that from the get-go. You can't
Right.
get into it and say, "Oh no, I just spent 50% of my budget on I don't know
The
the
venue.
Yes,
Venue.
and now I
Yes.
don't
Right.
have that wiggle room to be able to get the photographer of my dreams or the planner of my
Yes.
dreams or whoever
Right.
that is. You have to start
Yes.
there.
And huge asterisk, brides and
Mhm.
grooms, if you are thinking like, well, these are the only venues available, we have to like pick from all of these
Mhm.
$12,000 rentals.
No.
No,
There's
so
no. Like, hold
many.
up.
Do
You might
your
have to
homework.
research a little harder.
Yes.
But there's a lot.
Right.
I mean,
Yes.
I'm all for a really pricey venue because
Mhm.
that means you're gonna get a lot.
All the things.
Right.
Yeah, and you're gonna
I'm all
get
about
really
that
great
too.
service.
Yep.
But if you also want other things
Mhm.
and you have a smaller budget, maybe go with a cheaper venue.
And
Yeah.
DIY more things.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
It all comes down to prioritizing. It really is so
Yes.
important. And figuring out like which slice of the pie is each category going to get. Like
Right.
what percentage. Actually
Percentage.
break
Right.
it down
Mhm.
before you start buying anything, even before you book your venue. I think
Right. Do
I
the
think
research.
couples feel like this urgency, like, oh no, our date is going to get taken if we don't book it right now. But I
Right.
think figuring out, well, first let's decide how much do we want to spend on a venue.
Mhm.
Kind of
And being-
working backwards. It's like trying
You
to
work
go
backwards.
Yes, it's like
Yep.
buying a house almost. Like you don't want to put an offer on a house before you went to the bank to figure out how much you
Yes.
can
And you
spend
don't
on
wanna
a
start
house.
decorating the house before you
No.
have a house.
Yes.
You
yeah.
gotta go to the bank first and figure out, well,
Right.
how much can we actually spend on the house before
Right.
we fall in love
Right.
with?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then really sticking to those percentages that you break out is really important. So if you're looking
Mhm.
at something that's a little over, don't start booking things because
Yes.
you're going to start going a little over on everything and then
On
you're a lot
everything.
over
Mhm.
your whole
Yeah,
budget.
yeah. So like a
yeah.
good place to start, I always say, is Aisle Planner because they have a free budget tool.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
And then it breaks it down by like nationwide percentages.
averages.
Yeah,
right.
averages.
Yep.
And then you can kind of see like, okay, like $2,000 for flowers, and
Mhm.
this florist has a $2,000 minimum.
Right.
We're probably not
Probably
a
not
good
gonna be a good
fit.
fit.
It's probably not a
Right.
good fit. You don't
And
want to
then-
book someone with whose minimum is your max.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then looking at it and saying, okay, here's where we can spend the most money. This
Mhm.
thing is the most important to us.
Mhm.
Right.
But it looks like the budget breakdown, like there's not quite enough money there. Okay, let's
Right.
reevaluate that.
Right.
Where can we borrow from? Do we want to eliminate any of these categories?
Exactly.
Do we want to add? You probably want to
Add your own.
Yep.
Right.
So
Yep.
you probably should like not put in your whole budget, maybe shave off 5%. So then
Right.
you can, you'll go over.
Right.
I don't want to tell people that, but you're gonna go
You
over.
might go over. Yeah. I mean, unless you're really working with like a planner who's going to keep you
Who's a bitch?
stick to your guns.
Because they're
Like,
gonna be like, you
can't
can't
afford
it.
it. And I
You're gonna be like,
definitely-
"But I just want it.
I'll definitely kindly tell couples like we can't afford this unless
Yeah,
you want to put more
yeah.
money in. This
And
is
they're
where we're
they'll
at.
be like, screw you.
and sometimes they're like,
we're
she's
getting
this,
it.
like she's like a teacher, okay, you know. But I think prioritizing the items is so important, and so many
Yes.
couples don't realize like you make your own rules with
Right,
that. So
right.
whatever you want to pay for, you're gonna. If it's down to like your honeymoon tickets and your bikini for your honeymoon,
Yes.
put it in there.
Put it in the
Like,
yes.
budget.
if
Yeah.
That's what you
Yep.
are
But then
expecting to pay
also
for.
know when you get quotes or when you look at prices online, sometimes those are
Mhm.
not all inclusive.
Correct.
So don't get so excited like, yay, these cafe lights are only like $300.
Mhm.
Wait, who's
Who's
putting
hanging
up
those?
those?
And who's
Right.
taking them
What about
down?
do you have electrical? Do you have to
Right.
rent a generator? Like,
Right.
yes, all
Right.
of those little things.
Really
And I think
important
that's something
components.
maybe we should go back to also is okay, so you design this gorgeous wedding. Maybe you did DIY or you had
Mhm.
vendors set up. What about the end of the night? Like where's
Teardown
all this
crew.
stuff going?
Where's it
And then
going?
what about
What's the plan?
after that? If you bought a bunch of stuff, what do you do?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, don't have expectations that these things are just going to figure themselves out.
Right.
Like, make sure you're well educated on
Yeah.
what each vendor will do. Some vendors don't offer teardown.
Right.
Some do. Some don't offer setup. So just make sure you know exactly what's
cleanup crew.
happening. Yeah.
A willing cleanup crew.
willing
Yes.
cleanup crew.
That's
Pay
right.
for a cleanup crew.
That's
don't
right.
have someone like
Don't make
in
all
your
your cousins
family.
do it.
No, because they're not going to do a good job, and you're going to get fined by the venue. Because they're going to
And-
leave things
yes,
there, and they're going
yes.
to break things.
And
I
the
think
bummer part-
especially if you go that DIY route, just know, like, awesome, you are going to save a ton of money, and I think that's amazing. But budget in there that cleanup or setup crew.
Yes.
There's going to be costs too, but
Right.
going and knowing that ahead of time is going to be smooth sailing.
Because the
from start
bummer
to
part
finish.
is, I think all of the weddings I had this year that they're like, my friends will just do it, and I was like, okay, great. Like you need at least a dozen, and
You
then
need a lot of people.
and then it was really me just like cleaning up as much as I could before I left, so that there was like 8 things that they had to carry.
So
to a
you were doing
vehicle.
that for free then, which is a bummer. You know, so it's one of those things too. Is like make sure you're budgeting in. Yeah,
because your
fees for
family is
teardown.
drunk. Your
Yes.
friends are like too happy and
Right.
know who likes.
They don't
cleaning
know
up.
the plan. They haven't been involved in the planning process.
Where does
with-
this go?
They don't know exactly.
Is this yours or is
Right.
this the venue's?
right?
You know?
If your vendors each like if the florist offers tear down, if the
Take
rental
it.
take it. Don't have another person do it, because even as a planner, like I can tear down your floral, but I can't transport it somewhere due to liability.
Yes,
I can't, if I
Yes.
break
Right.
something, then you're gonna have to pay for it. If the florist breaks her own vase,
it's
they break their
it's
own
on
vase.
her.
They can't. It's on her.
Yes.
She can't fine you for
Yes,
that.
then Josie doesn't have a guilty conscience. Being like, your
Yes.
votives were really fragile.
Exactly.
I broke 8
exactly. Or I
of them.
left 4 there because I don't even know their inventory as well as I should.
or where they got set up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or where
There's
they
kind
left
of gaps.
something. There's
Yep.
gaps.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's really and gratuity too. I think weddings have gotten so expensive that I think this is an area where a lot of people are foregoing gratuity now,
Mhm.
and that's a huge part of your budget. You should
It
budget a
is.
couple $1,000s for tips for these vendors who have worked
If no
really
one
hard.
else, please tip your servers who are cleaning,
Yes.
clearing off your tables and making sure that
Absolutely.
people can still enjoy sitting at the table that
Oh
you
my goodness,
designed and that
yes.
you paid for linen for and that you paid for
Mhm.
And
chairs
that they're
for.
keeping those
Mhm.
things really clean for you, so you don't have to
Yes.
pay extra fees for damages to them
Yes.
at the end of the night.
The worst weddings in the world
Mhm.
are ones where no one busses the table.
Right.
There's nothing where you feel kind of icky
you
sitting
feel
there.
so icky, and your caterers. Seriously,
Like I
a
didn't
good
even
caterer,
like the pork chop. I don't want to like
Yes.
look at it the rest of the night. Like how
No.
embarrassing. Okay, I'm not a meat eater. Now I have
Yes.
to like put my napkin on it and like scooch it in the
Pretend
table.
like I ate it.
Oh, it's
Caterer-
so good.
A good caterer makes up 90% of your event success. I truly believe, with timing
Totally.
and
Mhm.
service
Hot
and how you guys
food,
feel.
good food.
Yes.
Yes.
And they are really in the trenches. They're working their butts off. So make
Butts.
sure that they
Make sure
are
they get
well
tipped at the end of the night.
You
for
should get
sure.
tipped for sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But instead, most people tip their DJ because it's
And
included.
that's it. And I think, when I first started in the
Damn it.
industry, I feel like weddings weren't as expensive then, and people
Right.
would, kind of take care of each vendor. And now I
Mhm.
feel like people are giving me like one envelope
Yeah.
with a tip for like the officiant or something, and that's
yes.
it.
Yeah.
It's just not, that expectation's not there anymore.
or just remember what a tip is for. Like you're saying,
Thank you.
it used to be to ensure prompt service. That's not a thing anymore, right?
right.
Unless you're
Everyone,
in
it's
England. I don't
expected.
know.
It's expected.
It's
yeah.
saying like, hey, I think you did a great job.
Right.
Thanks.
Thanks for making
Right.
my wedding amazing.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
if you're not gonna do that, fine. You're your own person. Can you review them, please?
Yes.
Oh,
And like
yeah.
give them a 5-star and tell other people
Yes.
via the internet what you
Right.
thought about their services, so then
Mhm.
other people can have like reflect on your own planning process and say like, hey, it would have been nice if someone had mentioned the part about how like Josie gives hugs because I really like hugs. Like, can someone write that in a
Right.
review, being like,
Right.
Josie was great, she gave us hugs.
I mean, reviews are everything for a vendor.
For
They
every-
really
yes.
are.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Make or break.
If anything, if you
Yes.
can't afford the gratuity, leave a
Right.
great review.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
then I was gonna say something else and now I forgot. Okay, so what's your best piece of advice that you want brides and grooms to hear? Maybe do a groom piece of advice.
A groom piece of advice. Again, communication here, setting
Mhm.
expectations, get involved. I think that's something brides want their grooms to be more involved. Like I have so many meetings where the groom is sitting in my studio just staring into space, just bored out of his mind. And I get it. A lot of these things are not, for a male mind, a lot of these things are just
But the process
way
might
out
go
there.
faster
Might
if
go
you
faster
say,
if you're
Mhm.
involved. I'm gonna.
I don't like
this.
that flower thing.
Yes.
Like whatever that is, I don't like it.
Yes.
And I don't want it at my table. It can go at
Yes.
other tables, but I don't want to see it at
Right.
the tables that are near mine.
Right. Set expectations. You know, maybe sometimes the groom is more involved in the wedding than the bride is. Sometimes, most of the time, the bride's going to be more
Two
involved.
grooms, then one of them has to be more involved.
Right.
It's like
Exactly.
a law.
Yeah. So set
Like
expectations
physics.
there for a groom. Be involved to the point where the bride wants you to be involved. Don't get
Right.
overly involved if she doesn't want you overly involved.
Yeah.
But be there for her, support her, answer the questions, even if they seem silly to you. She's like, "What do you think of this?" Just give your honest opinion. Like,
Mhm.
I really
Yes.
like that, or I don't, you know.
Spontaneously
couples
give your
Fight.
opinion.
A lot of guys and brides get in fights just because the expectations aren't set clear and they're not sure what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
The bride's not telling them, "I need more support from you."
Right.
You know, maybe take the reins on a few checklist items just to help the
Mhm.
bride out because she's going out of her mind.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my biggest thing. Communication's always my biggest piece of advice. Just talk more. Talk through everything. Any
Mhm.
issue, talk through it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Brides or grooms? Who am I speaking to here?
Which is tugging at your heart more?
You know, I feel like it's just really like recapping what we just talked about. So, like Janae said, communication, setting expectations, delegate and outsource, and keep focused on the why. Like, why are you doing this? Keep coming back to that when you're up
Mhm.
until 3 in the morning scrolling on Pinterest, when you're fighting with your mom, whenever when the wedding stress really sets in. Keep coming back to tune out the noise. Why are we doing this? Why are we planning this wedding day? Well, it's because you're going to marry your best friend. You're going to marry the person that you want to hang out with forever. Keep coming back to that. It will keep you focused.
You know, just any details that are driving you crazy will just fade away.
I
It
feel like
will.
you
Good
should
expectation.
almost write it down
Yeah.
and put it somewhere.
Put it somewhere.
Make a
put it,
mood
like-
board of it.
Yeah.
Put it on your wall.
Put it on your
Should
bathroom
this
mirror or
be
something.
a free
you know?
printable in the
yeah,
show notes?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh,
okay.
I love
Yes.
that.
What's your why? Your
What's
wedding
your
why?
Yeah, what's your
Yes.
wedding why?
Yeah, your
Guys,
wedding
there you
why.
go.
I want to
Love
get
it.
married because
Because
tax
fill in the
break.
blank.
Just kidding. Not the last episode, but with episode 4 with Hannah, we did talk about child brides. So I feel like
I love it.
not what you're thinking, but
I
it's a
love
good
it.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, so where can listeners find you collectively and then
Yeah.
you Blush a Whim?
Yeah. So Wed by Design, you can follow us on
Mhm.
Instagram at Wed by Design. Also on Facebook.
Yep, we're at Wed by Design Bride,
Mhm.
and our website is just www.wedbydesign.com.
Yeah, and we have a really great event coming up in January 11th. We're doing a happy hour. We're going to start doing these once a month
Yay!
with brides.
Yeah,
in the
we
Twin
just want to
Cities.
hang out with real brides in
Yeah.
the Twin Cities. So if you are a Minneapolis St. Paul bride, come hang out with us. Have champagne. We want to talk about your wedding. You can pick our brains.
It's full free. It's a
It's
free
for
event.
free.
So
Okay, so
come and
January
hang out
11th and then once a month, so
Once
they
a
can
month.
find the events on Facebook.
on Facebook. Yep,
Okay,
and
cool.
come and with any and all questions,
questions.
concerns. If you need vendor tips, advice,
Love
come and
that.
hang out with us and just pick our brains for a couple of
Mhm.
hours.
Love that.
Yeah,
And then Blush and Whim.
Blush and Whim. You can find me on Instagram at Blush and Whim. Not the ampersand AND. Blush and Whim, and then blushandwhim.com is my website.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Any good plans for us of the day?
Finishing that Christmas shopping.
I haven't even gone yet. I haven't gone at all yet. I am.
Atlanta,
Yeah.
you guys are crazy.
I am crazy. I do this to myself every year.
My husband and I just get our family tickets to something.
Oh,
so
that
it's
is so
it's
smart.
very like one,
The
and then we go.
experience.
Yes, the
Experiential
Love it.
gift.
We're trying to be minimalist, so we're like, we can't get you a card or paper or anything wrapped, but we can take you somewhere.
That is
That's
so
great.
great, though. It's a really good idea.
yeah. So there,
Yeah.
there you go.
There, that's
now
an
you're
idea for
both
me.
done.
Okay.
Yep, I'm done.
You just have to figure out what it is, and
Yes.
what everyone will like, and
Yes.
a date that everyone's available.
Yes.
See, that's
Okay,
the
maybe
planning
not.
part.
Maybe not a good idea for me at the last minute.
Okay, perfect. Well, I end every episode with a high five. So thank you so much for being on.
Thank you. High five.
High
So fun.
five. Thanks for having us, Josie.
This
Yeah,
was a
thanks,
blast.
guys.
Congrats to you on your new endeavor.
Thank you.